So today is Ash Wednesday. For many Catholics around the world, it's very, very important. But apparently, to Anthony Albanese, it's not really that important, considering Anthony Albanese calls himself a Catholic and he doesn't even want to recognize the importance of Ash Wednesday. I'm not a Catholic, so I don't do any of that sort of stuff. But seems like Anthony Albanese is more concerned about Ramadan, sending a Ramadan message, guys, from the Prime Minister of Australia. Ramadan Mubarak. Mubarak. Sacred weeks of Ramadan are a chance for Muslims to affirm their faith and to reflect, to forgive, and to practice acts of love and kindness. Yeah, so instead of recognizing Ash Wednesday for many Christians around world and even in Australia, we're going to send a Ramadan message instead. How about that? Is also expression of the compassion, gratitude, and sympathetic togetherness that has been the hallmarks of the story of Muslims in Australia. It is a long and proud story, one that has been generations of Muslim Australians enrich our society with your hard work, your aspiration, your sense of community, and your love of country. Oh, boy. I don't know what says I want your vote more than this. I really don't. Keeping in mind, guys, that Albanese's failed leadership is not only destroying this country, but the other day I made a video of, I made several videos now about it, with the Muslims deciding to drop down on their hands and knees and praying to their false god with their backsides facing the bloody moon. I made several videos about that, and one in particular of Anthony Albanese pretty much demanding an explanation from New South Wales police and throwing them under the bus for what they did to the Muslims. It was, how dare New South Wales police do their damn job for a change, right? How dare they try and keep the peace from very violent individuals who are part of Hizb ut-Tahrir. But of course, Anthony Albanese, who also said today that he blames social media, he blames One Nation, he blames Pauline Hanson, he blames the Liberal Party, he blames everyone else but himself for lack of trust in the government. So putting statements out like this, do you really think that's going to help build trust in you as a leader when you are siding with a vast majority of people that don't actually really want to assimilate and don't really love this country? Now, I understand that there are some Muslims that are peaceful and they do love this country and they have assimilated and they wouldn't hurt a fly. I do understand that there are those. But the intention here, when one Muslim the other day, who is a very, very well-respected doctor and member of the community, tried to bring back the ISIS brides. Or do we forget about that? So Anthony Albanese saying it is a long and proud story, one that has seen generations of Muslims, Australians enrich our society with your hard work, your aspiration, and also trying to bring back Islamic terrorist brides along with it. Also bringing Sharia into Lakemba. Also bringing, what else? Radical ideologies into Australia. Yeah, sure, that really does enrich Australian society, doesn't it? That really does showcase their hard work. More like their hard work to spread radicalism in Australia, doesn't it? I'm not talking about, once again, those Muslims that wouldn't hurt a fly, that are just culturally Muslim, they don't have an issue, they don't want anything to do with radicalization. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the ones that talk about Sharia, the ones that are trying to destroy this country. I'm talking about those that, are doing psychological jihad. I'm talking about the ones that are siding with Tony Burka and going, Tony Burka, if you do this for us, then we'll scratch your back. You scratch mine, I'll scratch yours. We're going to vote for you in the next election, keeping you in power. Do the same thing with your leader, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. Right. And then we'll also give them millions of dollars to prop up their own communities, right? Also, I don't think you guys have realized the NDIS scams within a vast majority of the Muslim communities, right? In Western Sydney, there's a large number within a very close proximity of NDIS providers, and we already know how much fraud is responsible in there. So yeah, their hard work, right? Your aspiration, your sense of community, and your love of country. Who are you talking about there, Albo? You talking about the two Islamic terrorists that killed 15 people in Bondi? How about the Islamic brides that you brought back from Australia? It was really their love of country, wasn't it? Yeah, their love of peace and not radicalization at all. At Ramadan, we reaffirm that our nation's success, strength, and unity is built on the fundamental rights of every Australian to practice their faith in peace and safety, proud of who they are. Yeah, they can practice it peacefully and safely. Yes, I agree with that, but not in the bloody street. That's domination to me. That's what happened the other week during the protest when they decided to drop down on their hands and knees. It also happened the other day, not long after their prayer vigil in public, where two other Muslims decided to pray outside of a church in Town Hall, a very well-known church in Town Hall, I might add. And again, I say this, where's the message for Christians that are practicing Lent today? Or did that not come first? No, this is what I mean. Politicians, they are the most corrupt people on the face of the earth, in my opinion. They only do stuff when it suits them. So they don't want to actually side with Christians, keeping in mind that Australia was founded on Christianity. They don't want to focus on them, which there's many more Christians in Australia than there are Muslims. But no, Ramadan, he does this every bloody year. Ramadan, man, is far more important because we've got to make the Muslims feel welcome in this country. Right. Why is that, I wonder? Proud of who they are. Right. I think they are very proud of who they are, if you ask me. We all take pride in the remarkable country we have built together, and we all share a responsibility to safeguard it. Right. So does that mean you're going to do something about the Islamic extremism? Huh? Where does that come from? Are you going to do something about that? Because you just said we all share responsibility to safeguard it. That includes the doctor that is trying to bring in the Islamic brides. Yeah. Does that safeguard this country with togetherness and unity? Absolutely not. But sure, let's bring in as many of them as we possibly can. Because, nothing screams safety and togetherness than bringing in known terrorist brides that are probably also extreme. It is also important to acknowledge the pain and grief that the conflict in the Middle East has caused for Muslims here in Australia. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. You guys heard what I just read? It is also important to acknowledge the pain and grief the conflict in the Middle East has caused for Muslims here in Australia. That they are expressing their grief and pain every single bloody weekend at the expense of us taxpayers that are causing issues for local businesses. Yeah, sure. It's been a real pain and grief for them. We've got to acknowledge it, man. Why not acknowledge it during Ramadan? While moves towards peace in the region are encouraging, there is still much to be done. This is the same dingbat that decided to recognize a Palestinian state while Hamas was still in power. Keep that in mind, right? Over the month ahead, may your faith sustain and comfort you, and may it surround you with the love and the nurture of others. Anthony Albanese, the spineless weasel, dingbat Prime Minister of Australia. Yeah. You know, the weakest slime bucket of a politician this country has ever seen. Australia called wants its balls back. This is weak, pandering bullcrap. No mention of Lent, Shrove Tuesday. Can't say I'm surprised. Me either. And that's just here in Australia, man. You want to see what's going on in the UK during Ramadan? Let me show you. Muslims in the UK are calling for a ban of people eating in public during Ramadan daylight hours. They argue that seeing people eating food increases their temptation and Islam should be respected. Gad Sad goes, I warned you this was coming long ago, but you scoffed and mocked. Yeah. So how is it that these Muslims are able to make these kinds of demands? Oh, because Islam says so. Guys, the religion of peace demands it. I don't give a damn what your religion demands. We don't make these kinds of demands. So why should you? Why should we all bend over backwards to your demands? Because you've got Ramadan. I don't give a toss. You don't respect Christmas. You don't even respect Easter. So why the hell should we respect Ramadan? Because you choose not to eat. So therefore, we should respect that. Bugger off. No way. And Anthony Albanese wants to say we all have this thing called building unity, respect. Hey, you know something, Albo, about respect? I shouldn't have to give respect to anyone that doesn't respect me and actually wants me dead, according to their holy book, the Quran. Maybe you should read it, Albo. May enlighten you a little bit of what you've done to this country to get the votes. Yeah, you're a useful idiot, is what you are. And overseas as well, Zoran Mandani picks new chief immigration officer, worked for controversial Muslim non-for-profit. How about that, guys? Zoran Mandani employs a Muslim chief immigration officer, just like Shabina Mahmood, whatever the hell her name is, over in the UK. Sure, that's really going to solve the mass immigration crisis that we've got. Employ a Muslim that's going to bring more of them in. Welcome. Come on in. Just because they claim that they're religion of peace. Again, if I have to say it, if you say that you are the religion of peace, chances are you're not the religion of peace. So why do they always say it? Now, I want to show you this in closing. This is from Muslim caller on LBC. He wants to claim to be the victim, that Islam is being bullied. And by the way, this guy has been to jail for far less, but he would be willing to go to jail if anyone burned a Quran in front of him. Have a watch of this.
No way any man on this earth would be able to stand and burn a Quran in my face. There's just no way that would happen. Like, I would definitely choose violence.
But you accept then that, Adam, you would accept then that you would have broken the law and be convicted for it?
Oh, 1,000,000%. Yeah. I'd accept that.
So why? And that's because the Quran matters so much to you that you would be willing to potentially go to prison for a violent act if someone was burning it in front of you?
To be honest with you, I've been to prison for less than that. So yeah, that's very important. Yeah.
I think your response is the problem. I think if you say any mocking of your religion is going to result in violent attacks on that person, that has such a chilling effect on free speech in this country, the ability, the right to mock.
There is no free speech. What's this free speech joke you keep talking about? Right. There's no free speech. There's no... Islam is being bullied. That's what's happening. Islam is being bullied. It's been happening for long. And now just people just think they can just do anything and anywhere. And no, yeah, religion.
Well, but if the anything anywhere was to say in a religious studies lesson, draw an image of the Prophet Muhammad, not in a mocking way, but literally just draw, what he may or may not have looked like, should that be allowed?
No, it should not, because
Why not?
It's not allowed for us to do.
Well, but you're not me, and I'm not you.
If someone's doing that in a non-mocking way, maybe we could teach them and tell them why we don't do it, and we find. But
you might do that, and they are within their rights. That school might be within their rights to say that's absolutely understandable. That's your religious faith. Those are your religious traditions and cultures. We don't abide by that. This is a secular school. This is what we're doing.
Then I wouldn't have nothing to do with that school.
So apparently, according to this Muslim dingbat, Islam or Muslims are being bullied. There's no free speech. So in a country that is supposed to have free speech, like the UK, even though we know it doesn't, neither does Australia anymore, you're not allowed to criticize Islam because it's Islamophobia, a made-up nonsensical term. Right. So I've got to be respectful to Muslims. Meanwhile, they're not even respectful to me. They're not respectful to my faith, but yet I've got to be respectful to theirs. And you just heard him. He's willing to go to prison for far less. I mean, sure, burning a Quran is quite provocative, may be seen as rather extreme. I wouldn't do it personally, but I know people that have, and they've been killed for doing it or arrested and jailed. So how is any of that right? Like, for me, this just goes, well, this Muslim wants the right for anyone that criticizes Islam to be imprisoned. He wants to take over free speech because, Sharia. This is not one of your backwards countries where Sharia runs supreme. This is not in Iran. This is not Afghanistan. This is not Syria, where Islam reigns. This is Australia. This is the UK. These are countries that are built on Christianity. And you know what's happened? We've given over to suicidal empathy. That's what we've done. We've given over to it. We've gone tolerance, man. We've believed that we're the religion of peace. We used to have a safe country. Not anymore. Wonder why that is. Because they keep pandering to the one group of people that when push comes to shove will more than likely stab you in the back because their book tells them to. Yeah. But again, they want to say that I'm the problem. I'm just repeating what's in their damn book, man. I've never seen anything so profoundly stupid than what we've got today. Oh, I'm going to ignore the warning signs. There's a reason why we have them. Anyway, that's enough from me. You guys take care, be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.